All right. So our goal today is to be able to write an algebraic expression. Remember, writing an expression is just a fancy way of saying write a math problem. All right? I think all of us have some experience in writing some math problems. All right? Algebraic expression just means you're going to write a math problem and it's going to have some letters involved. Okay? The way that we're going to pick our letter, remember, a variable is a letter that can represent any number in the world. A variable can represent any number. So in this case, my variable is going to represent the part that I don't know. Because if I don't know it, then I can't put a number there. So I'm going to put a variable because then that variable could represent any number. Do y'all agree? All right. So for number one, we're going to start by just picking what is the information that I'm missing from this problem. What information am I missing? Brianna?
What is 9 subtracting from?
All right. So when it says 9 less than a number, do I know what number that is? No. So this is what we don't know. We have no idea what a number is. We have no idea what that is. Since we do not know that, that's going to be our variable. So we need to pick a letter. All right. There are some rules when you're picking a letter. One letter that you never want to pick is O. Never pick an O, because O looks like a 0. All right? So we don't want to pick O. Another letter that you would want to possibly avoid would be L, because L's look like 1s. Here's the thing. You can use an L. The way that you would use an L in math, in algebra, would be to make it not look like a 1. We would write our L in cursive. So if you want to use an L, you can. You're just going to write it in cursive. Another letter that's kind of questionable would be T, because T's can look like plus signs. All right? So for a T, we're going to write a T. I usually write it with just a little hook at the end. All right? Another way you can write it would be as a cursive T. Same thing with the L. All right? Rabia? An X, we can write an X. In fact, in algebra, you see a lot of X's. That is the reason you no longer get to use an X for multiplication. That is the reason we're no longer going to use a dot for multiplication. When we write multiplication, we're always going to put them next to each other, like we saw yesterday in our work. Okay? Danny?
What about Z?
Z? You can use a Z. Just make sure your Z and your 2's don't look the same. Yeah, that one you do have to be careful about, and y'all know how I write my 2's. That's one thing that I really have to be careful about. Okay? Here's the other thing, guys, when you're picking your variable, when you're picking your letter, you always want to use a lowercase letter, okay? It doesn't really matter in the 6th grade, but in the high school, an uppercase letter will be used for something a little bit different in algebra, all right? So I don't want us to start any bad habits right now. So when you're picking a letter, always pick a lowercase letter. Are y'all okay with that? All right, sometimes you'll see some worksheets that will have an uppercase because they're 6th grade and it doesn't matter. But guys, we don't want to use uppercase because later on it could cause a little bit of a problem, okay? So always pick a lowercase letter. Y'all okay with that? Lowercase letter, no O's. If you use an L or a T, make them cursive. All right, so here, if I'm just talking about a number, what would be a good letter to use for a number? Christy? N. So I'm going to say N. And it says define a variable. So it's kind of like writing a definition. So I'm going to put N dash for my definition. And what does N represent? A number. We don't know what number, so we're just going to do that. There's my definition for N. We said, hey, N is a number. Any number. We don't know what it is. Okay. So now let's look at this problem. Let's pick out the math. What math is it telling me to do here? Josh?
9 minus N.
What math is it telling me to do here? Rabia? It's just telling me to subtract. And we're going to get to the order that it has to be in a minute, okay? But y'all agree less than means to subtract, right? I'm going to go and put a little subtraction sign. All right, now here's the problem. It can't be 9 minus something because it's saying 9 less than something else, right? So the 9 is actually what's being taken away. A little star over here. Whenever you're talking about the than, like 9 less than something, or 9 more than something, or 9 fewer than something, if you're using that word than, it's actually being done to the second number. 9 is what's being taken away. Do y'all agree with that? So if you see the word than, this is just kind of a good rule and an easy way to remember it. The word than just means we're going to flip that problem around. So whatever is at the front is going to go to the back, and whatever is at the back is going to go to the front. Okay? So here, do y'all see where it says less than? So we are using minus because it's less, but the than is going to move that 9 to the back, so I'm going to put it in the back. And it's going to move a number, which is my variable, to the front. So it's actually going to be n minus 9. Does order matter when you're subtracting numbers?
Yes.
So is order going to matter when you're writing a problem?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Even on like adding and multiplying, mainly adding, on adding we do want to make sure we're writing it in the right order because we want our problem to match the words as much as possible. Okay. All right, let's look at number 2. It says 5 times the number of books in the library. So we're going to start with the variable. What information do I need? What information am I missing? What am I missing here? Macy? The number of library books. I have no idea how many books are in the library. What letter would we want to use for that? Blaine? We can use B for books. Technically, you could use N again for the number of books. I'm going to use B for books in the library. Guys, we're not always going to pick the exact same variable, but I should be able to tell where you got yours from. So N for number of books, B for books. We could have used L for the library. All right? If you're using L, make sure you use the cursive L. All right, it says 5 times the number of books. So how would I write that? How would I write 5 times that variable? How would I write that? The new way that we kind of saw yesterday some. How would I write 5 times the variable? Aubrey? 5 with B next to it. Now you notice, guys, I didn't put that B in parentheses. Can I tell that 5 is by itself? Yeah. And then can I tell if that B is a B? Yeah, this doesn't look like 56 or 51 or 512. So we don't need parentheses there. You only need the parentheses when we're keeping numbers separate. Are y'all okay with that? All right, so 5B is my answer. That's it. All right. Number 3 says 3 more pancakes than his brother ate. 3 more pancakes than his brother ate. What information am I missing here? Connor Cannell?
The number of pancakes the brother ate.
Yeah, his brother ate. I don't know how many pancakes his brother ate. Do I know how many pancakes I ate? Yeah. Okay, so we do want to be specific here. Ms. Donahue came and asked me earlier, why am I not just using P for pancakes? Well, because I know how many pancakes I ate. I don't know how many pancakes my brother ate, and we don't know what we're finding the answer to. We're just writing an expression. So we're going to say, I'm going to use P still for pancakes. All right, if you wanted to use B, you could use B since his brother's eating them. All right, so pancakes, his brother ate. Pancakes his brother ate. All right, 3 more than. What math operation am I doing here? What math operation am I going to be doing here? What do you think? Timothy, what do you think? What math operation? Okay, so if it says more, would subtraction give me more? No. So we're going to use addition here. So it does say the than, but since it's saying more than, we're going to be actually adding here. Now that than is important because what's going to happen to the 3? Since it says than, where's 3 going to go? To the end. Instead of being in the front, it's going to go to the end. And then the pancakes his brother ate are actually going to the beginning. So P would be at the beginning. So I get P plus 3. Okay. Now guys, it looks like my variable will be on the front all the time. Don't let that fool you. That is not the case. That is not a rule. Okay, you have to write it in the order it says. If it says than, you're going to flip it. Not all of them will say than, okay? Questions about these so far? Did I maybe overreact? This isn't as bad? Right? It is a little challenge because you are having to think about it. It's not just like do this you can't just like work it out. So you are having to think a little bit, okay? Remember, I will do a video going over the homework. I will send out a video going over the homework because I know that we might get a little stuck and have some trouble. All right, let's look at number 4. 2 more than 7 times Lynn's age. So this has a lot of stuff going on. Let's just start with our variable. What information am I missing here? What information am I missing? Tucker, what do I not know? I have no idea how old Lynn is. Okay, so you can use A for age. I'm going to use L. Now, when I use an L, what do I have to make sure I do? Cursive. Can I use a capital L?
No.
No. Even though Lynn is capitalized, I'm still going to use a lowercase l. And I'm going to say that L stands for Lynn's age. Lynn's age. Okay. Give me one operation that's happening here. One operation that's happening here. Chandler. Multiplication. It says times. 7 times Lynn's age. How would I write 7 times Lynn's age? Let's just do that one part. 7 times Lynn's age. Josh?
L times 7.
Mm-hmm.
7 times L.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what? 7 and the L, the L right next to it.
7 with the L right next to it. All right? 7L. All right? What other operation is happening here? What other operation, Danny?
Addition.
Addition. It says more than. So we're going to be adding, but it says than. So when I do that addition, where does the 2 have to go? At the back. And then my 7 times Lynn's age will go to the front. So that 2 moves to the back because of the than. Right? Questions about number 4? All right. Number 5, 9 minutes less than Francis' time. What do I need to know here, Cheyenne? Francis' time. I have no idea what their time is right now. All right. So we can use an F. We can use a T. It's up to you. If I use an F, we need to make sure it is lowercase. So F stands for Francis' time. Okay. All right, what operation is going to happen here? What operation is going on this problem? Aiden? Subtraction. It says less than. So we are subtracting. There's my subtraction sign. It says than. So what's going to happen with this 9 at the front? Brianna?
It's going to go to the back.
It's going to go to the back. And then whatever's at the back, Francis' time, is going to go to the front. So I have F minus 9. You might have T minus 9. Okay. Make sure if you use a T, you put a little hook on it or you write it in cursive. Okay. Questions about those first 5? That's basically the difficulty level I'm going to ask you to do on the test. Okay? But we could have some of these up here. We need to make sure we can do these for like 7th grade, 8th grade, so on and so on. Okay? Number 6 says the distance of a round basketball or circumference is about 3 times the circumference of a softball. Define a variable and write an expression. That's what we've been doing, right? So guys, that means right here, that's where the problem stops. This is now just directions. Define a variable and write an expression to represent the circumference of a basketball. This is where I see the most problems. And I do think it's kind of confusing because we're just writing expressions. So are we going to have equal signs? No. And you are only going to have one variable right now. So when it says write an expression to represent the circumference of a basketball, that's what your expression is going to be telling you. I'm not going to be using that in my expression. It's what we are finding out with the expression. That's what your math problem is solving. Are y'all okay with that? So that means this information to represent the circumference of a basketball, that's not going to be used in my actual problem that we're writing. So I'm going to mark it out so I don't try to use it. It's what we're representing. It's what my problem's going to tell me. It's not actually in my problem. Y'all okay with that? This said we're representing the circumference of a basketball. It starts off telling me the distance around the basketball, or the circumference, is this. Do y'all see how this is the actual math problem we want? This was just repeating what we want to find out. So that was extra as well. Are there any questions on how I've eliminated so much information? Are we okay with how I've eliminated all that? So now it says about 3 times the circumference of a softball. So what is it that I need to know? What is it I'm missing, Brianna?
The circumference of a softball.
Yeah, I have no idea what the circumference of a softball is. All right? It's the distance around the softball. But I don't know what that measurement is off the top of my head. Don't know. So you can use C for circumference. I'm going to use S since we're talking about softballs and basketballs. I'm going to say S is the circumference of a softball. This would be another letter that some of y'all are going to have to be a little bit neater with your writing. Because some of y'all's S's might end up looking like 5s, or your 5s look like S's. So let's make sure we're writing to where we can read what's going on. All right. So it says about 3 times the circumference. So how would I write 3 times the circumference? How would I write that out now? What do you think, Emmanuel? 3 times S, and what's a better way to write that? Just 3S. So we would read that 3 times S, but if we're writing it, just make sure we say to write it 3S. When we read it, we would read 3 times S. Okay, very good. All right, questions about number 6. All right, number 7. A plumber charges $50 to visit a house, plus $40 for every hour of work. Define a variable and write an expression. So guys, that's where my problem ends, right? Now we're just defining a variable and writing an expression to represent the total cost. Is that what I need in my problem? This is what my problem is going to tell me, how much it costs to hire the plumber. Right? What is it in the problem that I need to know? What do I need to know to find the cost? How much it's going to cost? What do I need to know? Chris? Well, let's read that again, and then we're still going to have you answer. A plumber charges $50 to visit the house, plus $40 for every hour that they worked. What is it that I need to know to be able to pay this plumber? Okay, so they do. They charge me $50, and then they're going to charge me $40 for every hour of work. So what do I need to know to figure out how much to pay him? Or what is he going to tell me? What information am I missing there? Morgan, do you think you know?
How many hours he's going to be there?
Yeah, I need to know how many hours he's going to be there. Guys, when someone comes to your house and they're like, this is how much it's going to cost, they're having to calculate how long they think it's going to take them to get the job done. And then that's what they use to tell you the price. All right, so here I need to know the hours of work. How long is that plumber going to be working on my sink or my toilet? All right, whatever he's there helping me with, okay? Or my hot water heater. I don't know, okay. So hours of work, so I'm going to use H for hours of work. And now we can write out that expression to represent how much he's going to charge. So he's charging $50 plus $40 for every hour. So let's start with just that first part, $50 plus. So how would I write that? 50 plus. Guys, is a dollar sign a math symbol? No. So do I want to write it in my problem? No. Don't write those dollar symbols. Plus, then it says $40 for every hour. How would I write that, Danny? 40H. All right, number 8. This one I felt like is a little tricky. Number 8, a camp leader figures that she needs 1 tent for every 3 campers, plus a tent for herself. Define a variable and write an expression to, so remember this is where the problem stops, And these are just my directions. Define a variable, write an expression to represent the number of tenths needed. Remember, this part is what we're finding out with our problem. So you can just mark that out. That's extra. We don't need that to write the problem. So what does this camp leader need to know? What do I need to know if I'm that camp leader? Jenny? The number of campers. Y'all are so much faster than I was. I read this problem like 3 times before I figured it out. Okay? So this camp leader, in order to know how many tenths, she needs to know how many campers she has. All right? So I'm going to put C for number of campers. C for number of campers. All right. Camp leader figures out she needs 1 tenth for every 3 campers. Okay? She needs 1 tenth for every 3 campers. What am I doing here? What math operation am I doing here? Kayla? We're not adding our campers plus the tenth. Aiden? I'm not repeating it again and again and again. I don't want to multiply the tenths times the campers. We'll have a lot going on there. Kinsley?
Dividing.
We're dividing. So basically what's happening is she's saying how many campers are going to be in each tent? 3. So I'm splitting up the campers. I'm splitting them up into groups of 3. So we're dividing them by 3. To me, that was really tricky. You had to actually think about the situation. Okay, they're going to go camping. She has a bunch of campers. Does every camper get in their own tent? No, I'm going to split it up. 3 go in this tent, 3 go in that tent. If I'm splitting it up, that's going to be my division. Do you see how I actually thought about what was happening in the problem? So we're going to do C, my number of campers, divided by 3. But then it says plus, which means I probably need a plus sign, a tenth for herself. Plus 1. There's just one of her. So plus 1. Okay, guys, this is perfectly acceptable. I will take that answer. But, just like in multiplication, we have learned that you can use an X, a dot, or in algebra, we're not going to use a symbol at all for multiplication. What's another way we've learned to write division? Christy? As a fraction. So the way that you're going to end up writing this, 6th grade, I'm okay with this. I will take this in the 6th grade. But next year, they're going to expect you to write C divided by 3, like that. And then plus 1. Okay, I will take this, or I will also take that. This is how it's going to look next year. This is how it's going to look in 8th grade. This is how it's going to look in 9th grade, and so on. Okay? So when you see that fraction bar, in this case it's not really a fraction, it's actually that division. Okay, are there any questions about those notes from today? Alright, I want you doing the best that you can to answer your homework right now. Alright, if you get stuck, that is okay. You can watch the video tonight to fill them in. Okay, please remember guys, if you need to watch that video, please let your parents know, hey, Miss Sawyer is sending a video going over the math homework. Ask them if you can borrow their phone. Ask them if you can get on the computer, even if that means them sitting right next to you, okay? Even if that means like maybe having to make a trip to the library, depending if your Wi-Fi goes down, the library has free Wi-Fi. All right? Please make sure that you get on there if you need help with this homework and use that video.